You know now about some of the first in franchise history from 1933, but let's expand on that today and talk about some of the first multi touchdown performances and special teams touchdowns in Steelers history. On November 10th, 1935, running back Jim Levy would score the first two touchdown performance in franchise history. He would have one on the ground and one receiving in a 16-7 win over the Brooklyn Dodgers. Oddly enough, in the Steelers' very next game on November 24th, 1935, Levy would do it again, having one rushing and one receiving touchdown. Although the Steelers would lose the game 34-14, Levy had back-to-back games of multiple touchdowns. The first player to score two rushing touchdowns in a game for Pittsburgh came with the Steagles. Running back Bob Thurman would score two rushing touchdowns in a 27-14 win on November 28, 1943 against Washington. The first player to score three rushing touchdowns in a game was John Henry Johnson on October 10th, 1964. He would score three touchdowns in the win over Cleveland, and this is a game you'll want to remember. We'll feature this one a little bit later in our next segment. On October 3rd, 1938, Bill Sordet would become the first Steeler to record two receiving touchdowns in the same game, catching a 24-13-yard pass from quarterback Frank Filchock in a 13-10 win over the New York Giants. The first Steelers player to record three receiving touchdowns in a game was Ray Matthews on October 17th, 1954, but this game is special for a few other reasons as well. Matthews would become the first of only three players in franchise history to record four touchdowns in a game, tacking on a rushing touchdown. This game would also be the first time that the Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Cleveland Browns 55-27. There has only been one four receiving touchdown game in Steelers franchise history. On November 3rd, 1968, wide receiver Roy Jefferson caught 11 passes for 199 yards and scored four touchdowns in a 41-21 win over the Atlanta Falcons. On September 5th, 1937, John Blood McNally would score the first kick return touchdown in franchise history. A 92-yard return would send the Steelers to a victory, 27-14, over the Philadelphia Eagles. Finally, the first punt return touchdown of Steelers history came on November 1st, 1942. Kurt Sandig would have a 64-yard punt return, helping the Steelers to a 17-9 win over the Giants. We've now seen some of the best performances in terms of touchdowns of Steelers history, but stay tuned for our next segment where we look at some more great moments and great games in franchise history.